this video, we'll go over the regular maintenance items to check up on the Concept2 BikeErg to make sure that it is in proper working order. I'm going to start by checking basically all of the assembly fasteners as well as the fasteners holding my crank arms on. If you have any creaking, any wobbling in the pedals or crank arms, that's a very common place for that to come from. So I'm going to go through the bike with my T27 driver and my 6mm Allen key. This is really only going to be used on the crank arms. T27 is going to do most of the work. And I'm just going to kind of start from top to bottom. I want to make sure my fasteners on my handlebar slide right here are nice and snug, both top and bottom. We have those. Those are nice and tight. And then the clamp here for the actual handlebar. Make sure these 4 fasteners are all snug as well. We don't want that wobbling around. Same thing on the front of the slide here, holding our PM5 and our device holder. There's going to be 2 T27s on the top and T27s on the bottom here as well, that we want to make sure are all installed. Moving down from there, we can check our 4 fasteners that hold the front leg onto the box frame. And then we also want to check the connection between our front leg and our front foot. There's going to be 2 on each side. We make sure those are nice and snug so our bike's not wobbling when we're really getting after it. I'll move to the back leg. I'm going to check the 6 fasteners that attach the back leg to the box frame of the machine. First 2 are right up here on top, and then I have 2 on each side here. That's good. Same as the front. We'll check these connection between the back leg and the back foot here. It's going to be 2 on either side. Next thing I'll check is the crank arms. We definitely want to keep these nice and tight, and you will notice if they are loose. I'm going to take my 6mm Allen key and make sure that both of these fasteners on either crank are nice and snug. If either of them are loose, make sure you're tightening both of them up, alternating a couple times so they both tighten up and you don't have one that's tightened all the way up and the other one's loose. So I'll check this other side as well. Another thing that can cause your bike to wobble a little bit, like this one is the rear feet not being adjusted properly. These get moved around a lot in some places. If the floor is a little uneven and you're noticing a little bit of a wobble, these adjustable back feet might not be level. So if one of them is off the ground or not firmly planted, you'll just need to unthread it out of the bottom until it tightens up against the floor, or lift it up a little bit and screw the lower foot back up into the foot a little bit until they are even and we're not wobbling. That looks good to me. The next thing that we want to check on the BikeErg, this is especially important for this machine, is that our monitor cable is routed properly and secured properly. This can get easily damaged if we don't have it hooked into all the right spots. If you're adjusting the height of the handlebar up and down, this monitor cable can get tugged and that can cause some problems. There are 2 T27s on the bottom of this drop arm here that we want to make sure are installed and nice and snug. And that protects the actual pin that plugs into the monitor. If this does get caught and tugged, it pulls on some secure fasteners instead of breaking that pin off. The next part is we want to make sure that it is hooked into the little hook, the little holder here on the side of that front leg to keep it out of the way of everything else. And then it's just going to drop down into the generator housing in a little notch behind the flywheel there. So we want to make sure that that is in the proper notch and not getting pinched there. The next maintenance item on our list is to make sure that our flywheel is clean and free of dust, debris, pet hair, whatever might get in there. It's going to be easy to tell if it's really dirty. This metal perf ring around the flywheel can get clogged up with stuff, and that will affect the drag factor of the bike. So if it gets really clogged up, you won't get the same resistance. We want to make sure to keep that clean. You just need a fine point Phillips head screwdriver. First, we'll loosen the screws around the outside of the flywheel housing just a couple turns. Then we have a little connector right here, and we're just gonna loosen this up a few turns. And it's gonna make it possible for me to slide it out. This connector will come apart pretty easily. We wanna be careful not to bend or crease or damage this perf. Once we have our perf ring out, you can go ahead and clean this. You can vacuum it off, you can wash it off, spray it out with a hose, whatever you need to do to get that nice and clean. Obviously dry it off before you put it back in the machine. But once this is clean, we can set it aside. And we just want to check the flywheel itself, check inside the flywheel housing, make sure that there's not a ton of dust and debris in here. If there is, we can take a vacuum, stuff it right in here, vacuum off the flywheel, and clean out the inside of the flywheel housing as best we can. Once we are happy with how clean that is, we can go ahead and put our perf ring back in. Again, we're going to be careful not to bend this, but we want to just feed it right back in along the lip there. This is going to take a little bit of care, but it should just slide right back into place to make sure this is feeding through the inner and outer flywheel housing connections. All right. Now, once we have this back to this point, this screw head is just going to sit back in place on this side of the connector. And we can rotate that back into place there and just tighten that back up. We don't need to crank down on this perf connector here. We just want to snug it up so that the perf ring sits nice and flush in those notches there. And then we can also tighten the 4 flywheel housing screws. And that is how to clean the flywheel. Another important part of BikeErg maintenance is keeping your firmware on your monitor up to date. We generally release new firmware for the PM5 about twice a year. The easiest way to keep that up to date is with our free Erg Data app. The Erg Data app on any iOS or Android mobile device will Bluetooth connect to the monitor and let you know when you need an update. You can just follow the prompts in the app to update the firmware. That generally takes about 10 to 12 minutes. If you prefer to use the Concept2 utility program on your Windows or Mac OS computer, you still can plug that in and update that way. Keeping up on the maintenance on your Concept2 BikeErg will keep it running smooth for years to come. If you have any issues that aren't covered by your regular maintenance, definitely don't hesitate to reach out, shoot us an email, give us a call. We're always happy to help.